What's up, friends? Welcome back to KimmyDTV, a place where nurses and aspiring nurses come to achieve academic, career, and life success. In this video, we're going to be talking about the cons of contract/travel local or out-of-state nursing. So if you guys are interested in this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a video. Okay, let's go. All right, guys. So I'm going to preface this video by saying this video is in no way to discourage anybody from becoming a contract/travel/ out of state or in-state local nurse. This video is just to give you guys a clear, broad picture, a logistical picture of what it really means to be that kind of nurse. Because I know when you're working your staff nursing job, you're tired of the politics, or you're tired of the workload, or you're tired of the unfairness, and you're like, you know what, I'm ready to get out there, I'm ready to make some real money, I'm ready to live the lifestyle I desire. That feeling, that thinking can be so exciting, and it clearly is. But I also feel like I don't want your dreams to be crushed. I don't want to step on your dreams. I don't want your hopes to be, put down on. I don't want you to be disappointed, is what I'm saying. I want you to go into travel nursing knowing the roadblocks, the trials and tribulations that you may face when you go into it, so that you go in with both eyes open, is what I'm saying, and that you go in with some tools already in your toolbox, whether it's your personal characteristic, like who you are as a person, or whether it's just some logistical tools and techniques that you can use to navigate the world of being a travel/contract nurse. So that is the whole purpose of this video. So I just want to say that in the beginning, just so you guys don't think I'm trying to discourage you, because I'm not. Okay. And also, when I say these cons, you'll kind of have a better picture of, oh, is this for me or is this not for me? Okay, because travel/contract nursing is not for the weak of heart. Nursing in general is not for the weak of heart. You have to have very thick skin, but especially when you're a travel/contract nurse, you have to have very thick skin. Okay, so let's go to number one. The first con of being a travel/contract nurse, and what I mean by travel/contract nurse, by the way, I mean, like, for example, if you are an LPN and you're a travel nurse working in different nursing homes, that's that. Or if you're LPN or RN, like having your own pop-up clinic for a certain period of time, that's that. If you are LPN or RN and you're working within your city or outside of your state, or even outside of your country, RN, and you specialize in labor and delivery, emergency, whatever, and you travel within your city or outside your city for a certain period of time, that is what I mean. I mean nurses who take jobs where you're only contracted, you're only, according to your contract, are supposed to work a short period of time, like 3 months or 2 months, or even sometimes 6 months, or even up to a year, but you're there for a short period of time. And because of that, you make an exponentially more amount of money than the nurses who are staff nurses there. So basically, you're not permanent. There's no like permanent ties between you and the hospital or the company. You're just there temporarily to fill a need. So that's my definition of travel/contract nurse. It could be within your state, like within the state of Texas, in Houston, Texas, within the city even, or it could be as far as international travel. I've seen jobs in London. I've seen jobs in the Virgin Islands. You know what I mean? So this is what we mean by that. So just to get that definition out the way. Okay, guys? So I'm going to go to my first con. So the first con of being a travel/contract nurse is that you probably gonna get the worst assignments. Okay, so what I mean by the worst assignments is you're probably gonna be the first one to float. You're probably gonna get the patients who are the quote-unquote most difficult. You're gonna get the ones who have the most difficult family, the hardest assignments. Sometimes the ratio may even be tipped unfairly or whatever. I'm not saying to accept working in an unsafe environment, because the number one thing you should always think about when you're taking a travel assignment is make sure your license is kept safe. You never want to work in an assignment where it's like clearly unsafe, because if you lose your license, like they really don't give a crap. Like they don't mind throwing any nurse under a bus. So your job as a nurse when you're traveling is to make sure that you're practicing nursing in such a way that is safe. So that doesn't mean that you shy away from hard assignments now. Like as a travel/contract nurse, if you're not a type of person, I'll put it this way. If you're not the type of person that's willing to roll up your sleeves and really go in there and ready and willing to work, then travel/contract nursing might not be for you. If you're someone who's like lay down in your pillow and like you're a pillow princess and you don't want to do any work, then maybe you just may stay in your staff job, because when you're coming in to fill a need, your supervisors, the manager, whoever, your agency, they're expecting you to come in ready and willing to roll up your sleeves and to work. So if you didn't go into the assignment to work, then don't become a travel/contract nurse, because that is why they ask you, please have 1 to 2 years experience in whatever specialty that you want to travel to, because even if you're within the same state or even the same city, every hospital is different. Every hospital has different policies, especially if you're out of state. They definitely have different rules and everything like that. And the last thing you want is a breach against, your license or whatever. So that's why they want you to have that experience, so that you know how to be a safe nurse. It don't mean that you're a perfect nurse. They want to make sure that you know what it means to be a safe nurse. And the only way you can do that is to make sure that you have right amount of experience. And I would say personally, from what I've seen, at least, if you want to travel within your specialty, to have at least a year, a solid year. Some people could do it, make 6 months, but at least, and some agencies will accept you for only 6 months. But remember, it is your license that is on the line, not the agency's license, because the agency is happy to send you because they make money off of you. But remember, it is your license, and your license is your livelihood. You don't want anything against it. If you want to go for a farther degree, or if you just want to, live to put food on your table, you want to protect your license. So make sure that you have a good amount of experience, so that when you go into travel nursing or contract nursing gig, that you know what you're doing, because they can even fire you. Which brings me to another con of travel/contract nursing, is they can let you go at any time. Now that does depend on your assignment, because I'll give you guys a little story. I did something that I don't advise any of y'all to do. When I first moved from New York to Texas, I barely had any money in my account, because all my money went towards tuition for my LPN to RN school. So I took a whim and I took a travel assignment as a travel RN nurse, working in a nursing home in Fort Worth, Texas first. And I worked for a little bit, very short amount of time, but I made enough money to where I felt comfortable enough to then move to my dream city, which was Houston. So, and then I started working and stuff like that, and I already had a job lined up and stuff like that by the time I arrived in Houston. So yes, it has a lot of good benefits, travel nursing, because I was able to make a lot of money in a short amount of time, only 1 month. But they could have canceled me at any time. And in my contract, with that contract, it actually cut short, 1 week short. But in my contract, they said they would still pay me out, even if they said they don't need you anymore, which was great. But a lot of other contracts, especially if you're RN, especially if you're working for a hospital, if you're working in a specialty like labor and delivery or emergency or whatever, just know that they can cancel you at any time. And that brings me to another advice, is when you're travel nursing, I understand a lot of people do travel nursing to save up a lot of money to go back to school, or maybe they just want to get rid of credit card debt, or they want to just basically buy a house, or just do something that requires a lot of money in which it will be quicker for you to make as a travel nurse versus as a staff nurse. And I'm not against that, but make sure, listen, it's just like with business. When you're a travel nurse, you now have to see yourself as a business. It takes money to make money. When you even get that travel nursing gig, it will take money, meaning you need money to, unless the agency is paying for you. It all depends on which agency you're using and what your contract says. You need money for the plane ticket to get there, or you need money for the gas money to drive 50 miles. Even if the job is within your city, if you have to drive an hour away. Like, that is gas money right there. And we all know that, you know, right now we're in a recession and we have inflation increasing. That is gas money right there. If you have to get a hotel, that is money. You know what I mean? Or if you just booked the Airbnb or rented a room or whatever, like, that is all money that you're risking. You're putting money up front just in the hopes that your assignment turns out well, and your assignment, that you finish your assignment throughout. And the thing is, like, as a travel nurse too, like, people can cancel you at any time, point blank and period. Especially if you read your assignment, like, people can cancel you at any time. So as a travel/contract nurse, you got to make sure that you dot all your I's and you cross all your T's, you know. You just got to be very careful is what I'm saying. They could cancel you at any time. Sometimes it's not even about your performance. Sometimes it's about, you know, just budget cuts and like, oops, well, you know, we don't need you anymore. And sometimes they're not obligated to pay out whatever. Like, but you're like, oh, I already paid my Airbnb. And agency can be like, well, I'm sorry. Like, that's what you are. You are a travel/contract nurse, and that's what it is. And like, say you spent all your monies in your savings. So how are you going to make next month's rent? You know what I'm saying? So you got to think about that too. Like, that is a major con, is being able to pay those things off, and just noticing that, you know, it is a risk that they could cancel you at every moment. So make sure you have a decent amount of money in your savings account. I would say at least $5,000 before you go ahead. 4 to 5 grand, no less than 2 grand, because if they cancel you, you want to make sure if you go home, you could pay next month's rent, because you don't know how long it will take before you get the next assignment, the next travel assignment, or your next gig, or your next whatever, unless you have a PRN back at home. So that is why when you're a travel/contract nurse, make sure you have a PRN job at your home state or your home city, or just a PRN job in general, just in case things don't work out with your assignment. You know, you're not stuck and you don't have any money to pay your rent and stuff like that, because that can be very scary. So that's the thing. Like, when you're a travel/contract nurse, like, you can't really afford not to be financially savvy, not to manage your money, because yes, as a travel/contract nurse, you make a lot of money, but the price you pay for that is that it could be very volatile. Okay, that brings to another thing. There are seasons where you make money. For example, right now is a good season to make money for travel nurses, like the winter time, like times where people really don't want to work because it's so cold. Those are the seasons to make money. But around the summertime, it does slow down. It does slow down. And since, you know, the health crisis, pays have gone down, so different stuff like that go down. So you got to take into consideration that. That's another cons of being a travel nurse. Another con is that people won't like you. Like, so I've talked about this before. There's always jealousy within nursing, like, because they see you're a nurse, whether you're LPN or RN. But especially when you're a travel nurse, like, not everybody. There are some staff nurses that are really helpful, but there are other staff nurses that harbor a lot of animosity, jealousy, envy, whatever you want to call it. They just really don't like travel nurses because they feel like, well, I've been here for so many years. I know the culture of the hospital. I know this, and that. And this person just sashay themselves into the facility, and they probably do the bare minimum, and they don't care. They're just there for the money. And then instead of looking at it as fact that we're there to help the community, we are there to, as long as we're not like putting patients in harm's way, we are doing our absolute best. Like, if we are not there, there will be no hospital. There will be nobody to serve the patients, to give them medications, to care for them. Anyway, they don't, some of them, not all of them, some staff nurses, they don't see it that way, and they just see it as us as money hungry villain monsters that are there to just get our check and get out. And am I saying that there are some travel nurses that are not like that? No, there probably is some travel nurses like that, but there are just some staff nurses who I've encountered in my life when I used to be a staff nurse that are like that too. But you have to realize that a lot of people, like a lot of nurses, like they do not like travel nurses for that reason, because there's also that stereotype, that stigma that's attached to travel nurses, that, you know, we're just there for the money, we don't give a about the patients, we're just ready to make our money and like bounce, and like people don't like that for that. So with people not liking you, but I don't care about people liking. People can do all kinds of stuff, not to scare you, but people have their way of trying to sabotage you, whether it's on orientation day. It could be even from a fellow travel nurse themselves who don't want you to make their money. Why? I don't know. Just some people are like that. Like once they have something, they don't want you to have it. You know, they have that scarcity, that lack mindset, and they wonder why they look around their life and things are not looking good. That's probably why, because they have a scarcity mindset. You know, people will try to probably sabotage. Like, for example, if you're I've seen all kinds of stories on YouTube, like people, an ICU nurse, people messing with the patient's drips, which is crazy. Like people just kind of like messing with their documentation, nitpicking at everything, micromanaging anything. Well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. Especially if you have a young face, you look young. Oh, well, I've been a nurse way long before you, and you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong. So that's another thing. Like people are so quick to talk about what you're doing wrong as a travel nurse. So that's why I'm saying that's another reason why it's important to have experience. But if you have that experience, you're not gonna know everything. That's the thing. You will never know everything, but the more you do travel/contract nursing, I feel like the stronger nurse you will become, because you will be exposed to many different computer system, Mars, many different policies, procedures, how people do things. You will become this warrior nurse, because in order to be a travel/contract nurse, don't get me wrong, you have to become this warrior nurse, this warrior person, and you will grow as a person, right? Another con of being a travel/contract nurse is like the loneliness. Sometimes I don't really feel lonely because I'm used to living on my own. Like I moved from New York to Houston. You're always a new person, and sometimes it sucks being the new person, because when you're the new person, you have to, you know, feel everyone out, see who's nice just because that they're trying to get information about you to use to backstab you or use against you in the future if they don't like you or whatever, or who's nice because they genuinely nice. You got to figure out who people are they good, are they bad, is this place have racism in it? It's true. Does this place have racism in it? This place does not have racism in it. Like, how do they feel towards people of color? Like, there's all kinds of people, there's all kinds of things like you gotta like think about, especially if you are of color, if you're a woman of color or you're a man of color, whatever. Like, those are the things that you have to like seriously consider when you're a travel/contract nurse, because every place is different, but every place has a different culture, you know what I mean? So I mean, that's a lot. Okay. What else? Yeah, just always being a new person, always figuring out stuff out. It could be annoying all the time, like always having to do a new drug screen, a new you have to go through all the competencies, doing all the tests over and over and over again. It could feel just like kind of exhausting, always starting over or starting over. Okay, guys? But I'll end with a positive at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the day, if you're somebody like me where you can work, like you don't have no problem working a lot for a short period of time, and then you end up enjoying 1 to 2 months of your time, like waking up whenever you want or working on your business or whatever. If you're someone like me where you don't mind putting a lot of work up front and then really enjoying your life afterwards, then this is definitely for you. Okay, guys? If you don't see yourself going back to staff nursing, which I don't, then this is definitely for you. So you just have to know who you are, and you have to see like if it's worth it for you. So yeah, guys, I want you to put in the comments down below, what do you think your con to travel nursing is, and I'll see you later. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.